90 deals in 90 days is possible.
I've always wanted to ask you for the last 90 days about your comment on April 7th when you said 90 deals were possible in 90 days. We're almost up. And I just wonder, was your thinking at the time that it really was an aspirational number, or are you kind of disappointed in 2 for now?
I'm happy with the progress we've had.
All right, well, that was Peter Navarro, the senior counsel for trade and manufacturing in April, and Navarro again appearing on CNBC yesterday. So as you can see, the Trump administration is walking back some of their messaging on tariffs already, and that's because their self-imposed tariff deadline is coming up very, very quickly with only a few deals to show for it. So we have more clips where that one came from, including Trump himself sounding very extremely confused about what is even going on with these tariffs. He doesn't know. So Cenk, I feel like I just asked you this with the last story, but who is in charge here? Is there anyone stealing this, the proverbial ship at this point? Or is the Trump administration just completely clueless and off the rails? Do these people have a plan?
Yeah, it's 2 different questions there, but on this one, I think it's super clear. So because on things like immigration, there's different forces that are pulling at Donald Trump, and he doesn't really have much of an opinion himself. But on tariffs, this is all Trump. Trump had this idea for decades. He's on tape talking about it well before he ran for president, because he's an idiot and he thinks, oh, in the 1890s, we didn't have an income tax. We just had tariffs and it was enough to pay for the government. Yes, in the 1890s, that was true. He can't get it through his orange head. It's not the 1890s. That's totally impossible now. And you can't reverse time. The economy is completely different. Nothing is the same. And no, tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. No one else believes in tariffs. It's only Trump. Especially these type of huge tariffs, and not related to reciprocal, not related to anything, right? So this is classic Trump blunder. Even his super right-wing advisors, etc., they don't want him either, because this doesn't help business interests. They're mainly interested in helping corporations and their donors, and this doesn't help. This is pure Trump, pure idiocy. And the reason why they don't seem to have a plan is because it's all Trump, and Trump never has a strategy. I'm gonna do tariffs. Oh, they're gonna be 145%. Okay, they're gonna be 45. Okay, they're to 30, 10, back to 30, back to 45. He doesn't have a plan because he's an idiot. And so if someone else had a plan, at least there would be some rhyme and reason to it. The reason why this is so scattershot is this whatever popped into Donald Trump's mind, in the last minute.
Yeah, and whenever you're working with money and numbers, you have to be a little bit more deliberate in the way that you're executing these things. You would think that he would know that as a very successful businessman and billionaire. Alas, here we are. All right, so here is what you need to know about the tariffs. So in early April, Trump announced very hefty reciprocal tariffs, he called them, but later paused those tariffs. He stated that countries would have 90 days to make a deal. July 9th, AKA this Wednesday, tomorrow marks 90 days. So far, the Trump administration has announced the frameworks of trade agreements with the UK, China, and most recently Vietnam. That's not exactly 90 deals in 90 days, but maybe my math is wrong somewhere. So the Trump administration is moving the goalpost again, as they do. Take a look at this.
What President Trump is concerned about is the quality of the deals, not the quantity. As you could imagine, as he started herding the cats and trying to get everyone across the finish line, when he said that there's a chance that countries could boomerang back to their April 2nd reciprocal tariff levels, we've had a lot of people change their tune in terms of negotiations. So my mailbox was full last night with a lot of new offers, a lot of new proposals. So it's going to be a busy couple of days. But importantly too, that President Trump has said that the countries would not go back to the reciprocal rate until August 1st.
All right, well, on Sunday, Trump and the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, they were asked about the administration's position on tariffs, and here is what they had to say about that.
Mr. President, do the tariff rates change at all on July 9th, or do they change August 1st.
What are you talking about?
Tariff rates. Do they change on July 9th or August 1st?
No, they're going to be tariffs. The tariffs are going to be the tariffs. I think we'll have most countries done by July 9th, yeah. Either a letter or a deal.
But they go into effect on August 1st. The tariffs go into effect August 1st, but the president is setting the rates and the deals right now.
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing. What do you say? The tariffs are going to be the tariff. Anyway, so Trump then proceeded to completely contradict his own position on the tariff deadline. So let's watch what he said yesterday, followed by what he said today, because they are different.
Is the August 1 deadline firm now? Is that it?
Because you're moving firm. No, I would say firm, but not 100% firm.
August 1st, you've said is the deadline. What incentives do countries have to negotiate? It seems that deadline keeps moving. It was April 2nd, now it's...
We didn't move, no. It's always been August 1st.
Firm, but not very firm. Maybe like firm tofu or a firm mattress. That's what came to my mind when he said that. So we've got even more tariff updates where that came from. Yesterday, the Trump administration sent letters to 14 countries who have not yet agreed to a trade deal. In the letters, Trump informed those 14 countries that they will be facing tariff rates similar to the ones that he announced on his so-called Liberation Day. Some tariffs are a little bit higher than what he announced back in April, while others are a little bit lower. The tariffs range from as low as 25% to as high as 40%. Trump also threatened to raise those tariffs if the countries try to retaliate with their own tariffs. Moreover, Trump is threatening tariffs against any of the BRICS nations. So BRICS, just a refresher, is a group of now 10 countries whose original members were Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Notably, Iran is also a BRICS country. On Sunday night, Trump wrote this on Truth Social. He said any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS will be charged an additional 10% tariff. There will be no exceptions to this policy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right, so we have talked a lot about how Trump is handling his tariffs, but what do the voters actually think about his trade policies? Well, Americans and especially independents are not loving what they're seeing. Here is CNN's Harry Enton with more, always a favorite.
Think tariffs hurt the economy. You know, go back to September of 2024 when Donald Trump was running for president, running for that second term. Just 39% thought that tariffs hurt the economy. Look at where this number has jumped up to in June of 2025, 57%. And just 28% of Americans, voters, think that tariffs are now good for the US economy, including just, get this, 16% of independents disapprove of Trump's trade policies. In January, it was 40%. Up like a rocket, up to 54% now in June. Just 35% of Americans approve of his trade policies. And get this, just 30% of independents approve of his trade policies.
All right, Cenk, so Trump has now demonstrated on video in public that he doesn't know anything about his own tariffs. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know who he's tariffing or how much or why. And he doesn't know when he's gonna be implementing his tariffs. And in the meantime, the American people are left just wondering what is going on and how their lives are going to be affected by all of this. And maybe the worst part of all of this, and that's, take that with a grain of salt, is the fact that no one knows how they can personally proceed, right? No one knows what life is gonna be like a week from now or a month from now or 6 months from now. How is anyone supposed to plan their lives when there's so much uncertainty and so much instability when it comes to their money and the economy? Ultimately, we're seeing things like all these polling results showing how much people disapprove of these tariffs from before to now. And it's growing, right? And it's especially amongst independents, especially amongst Democrats. I have to assume that the Republicans who still support this policy just aren't paying attention or they don't really understand the mechanics of it. But ultimately, life has not gotten better for people. And certainly it hasn't gotten better at the rate that Trump promised that it would. He said he was gonna come in January and just fix everything for the American people. And that is hyperbolic, but at the same time, I feel like the people who voted for him actually believed that he was this brilliant deal maker and he could come in and negotiate all of these tariffs and all these deals with all these different countries and he would get it done. But grocery prices have not gone down. Things have not gotten better. If anything, they're getting worse. We're seeing all of our workers getting deported or laid off from their jobs. people are not happy. They're not better off now than they were 3 months ago. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, so this one has a pretty clear conclusion in my mind. First, let's note that Trump was hilarious on that July 9th or August 1st. He had no idea. It's your policy, brother. It's your policy, like, and solely yours. You're the one who came up with it. Just know the bare minimum, right? It's the tariffs are tariffs, tariffs are tariffs, and Lutnick has to step in and go, yeah, no, August 1st. You know, we told the schmuck, but he can't keep anything in his head, right? Well, where did July 9th come from? Because that was the 90-day reprieve that Trump gave earlier when his Liberation Day, and the stock market got liberated from a couple of $1 trillion. So he's like, I'm doing a 90-day reprieve. Comes out on July 9th. Now in July 9th, did they have 90 days, 90 deals ready as they asked Navarro? No, they have honestly no deals. None of those, including the Vietnam one, which is the furthest along, has any specifics. They haven't announced it at all. Trump just every once in a while goes, yeah, that's it, Israel and Gaza have a ceasefire. No, they don't. That's I have a trade deal with China. And then China has to come out and go, no, we don't. You just made that up. You can't just say, hey, you have a trade deal with China when China didn't agree. So I sent them a letter, and then I'm sending strongly worded letters. This is nonsense. None of that is gonna work. And so, but the thing that you should be really concerned about is when he said nobody better go towards what the BRICS are doing. So if you read more into it, why? What are the BRIC countries doing? They're considering going away from the US dollar, and that would be catastrophic. That would be a huge problem for America. So he's made this condition so bad that the other countries have enough leverage. Remember, BRICS has China and India in it, let alone Russia, Brazil, South Africa, and others that he has read for you guys. So that's a big, giant block now representing about 40% of the population of the world. If they decide to go away from the dollar, that hurts our interest rates, that greatly increases our debt, it reduces our economic power, it's a disaster in the waiting. So he can threaten and bully people all he likes, but now finally the conclusion is what's gonna happen? Some of the rates he's saying on August, says July 9th was totally unrealistic, so they moved it to August 1st. And he's saying, no, that's it. August 1st is final, and we're gonna do 40% on some countries, 30% on other countries. Yeah, they might for a week or 2 weeks. I mean, the outer edge would be 2 months, but I can't imagine that it would go 2 months. And then they're gonna give up because it's a dumb idea, it's never gonna work. He's gonna just get back to where we were before and declare victory and pretended he did master negotiations because the rest of the world has figured out, yeah, call his bluff. And when you call his bluff, he's got nothing. So that's where the rest of the world is. That's why they're not doing deals with us. And when his bluff gets called, after the economy does poorly enough, he'll have to turn around. He won't have a choice. And he's a massive flip-flopper. So a turnaround is nearly guaranteed. Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say very quickly, I know we have to go to break, but I did say a while ago that I feel like one of the things that's gonna save like this country from Donald Trump is that a lot of the other countries that he's trying to do deals with and trying to make threats to, they're just not gonna take us seriously anymore. And maybe that'll be for the best for all of us.
Yeah, no, I don't want that happening. I want a competent leader back in charge of America so that we don't have this clown show. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.